Now, in the last video, I talked about how FBA didn't really do what they needed to do. They didn't. And I also talked about how the Japanese were on code, but still got fucked up. And they did. Because you see, here's the deal. All these groups have the same problem. And that's what I was getting at with that goose versus the cows. The cows respected the goose too much. The Japanese respected the cats way too much. The way you deal with these people is that you handle your business immediately. That's why they don't like me talking about the African Legion. That's why they don't like me talking about the Deacons of Defense. That's why they don't like me talking about the Negroes with guns. And they always prop up this stupid illusion of this nonviolence movement being effective when we all know what really got the job done. You see, Pearl Harbor was instigated by FDR. They just took the bait. And they got some moves going. They did some real shit, but they didn't do enough. Also, the Emperor of Japan was opposed to nukes. You understand what I'm getting at? He was opposed to nukes. They could have been had nukes. And they also could have solidified their gains in China, moved their capital there, and then America would have had a lot tougher time getting to the Japanese authority. Taking Japan would have been irrelevant. But they didn't do any of that, and that's why they lost. Now with the American blacks, you're surrounded, you're intertwined with these motherfuckers, these people. You understand? But when the rubber meets the road, you gotta do what you gotta do. And if that means taking it to wherever it's gotta be taken, then that's where it has to go. And I ain't talking about dreams and peace and rainbows and muffins and marches. Because we all know a lot of these cats were in those marches to keep an eye on your ass. Just like I talked about how they're always at these rap videos. They're always listening to groups like Dead Prez so they can keep an eye on your ass. And so they can understand what you're doing, understand what you're thinking. So that they can A, brainwash the youth, and B, counter any one of your movements. And keep you in a state of perpetual fear because they always know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And hell, they've done the same thing to Japan. What was the first thing they did? They destroyed the Japanese institutions. They got rid of all the original zaibatsu. They made the emperor symbolic. Because if they would have martyred him, the Japanese would have pretty much probably become like the Al-Qaeda and shit. So, I mean, that's all they could do. That's all they could do. So they dismantled all their institutions, put American money balls deep into it, propped them up with these puppet prime ministers. Because remember what happened with that prime minister that was against the American military bases? That bitch Hillary Clinton got rid of his ass with the quickness. I talked about that before. So you gotta understand what these people do and why they do it. Nothing they do is altruistic. They did not make gains forward to help society because they've evolved as a nation due to Martin Luther King's ideology. None of that stupid shit. They destroyed your institutions. They didn't want another Brazil, but they also don't want you arming up like you did in the 60s and 70s, or even worse, like you did in the 30s with the African Legion, and start doing the crunch-ups. They didn't want to deal with that shit, so they bring you in. It's called keep my friends close, keep my enemies closer. These people are your fucking enemy. I keep reiterating that. You have to do what you have to do. And it's not just going around harming people. No. But you have to look out for your own goddamn interests. And you have to not have faith in their horseshit ass system. But when the butter biscuits come into play, blacks lose sight of that. Just like the Japanese did. And that's why to this day, the Japanese are technically in a goddamn recession. Nowhere near as powerful as they were in the 80s and 90s because they listened to the white supremacists who put them in a bad position. Something that China refused to do, and now America's in a losing trade war with China, who is now officially a third world power. I mean, this is facts. This isn't hate speech. This is real life. So black people, especially American blacks, reparations, whatever. Great. Hope you get them. Good luck with that shit. But understand this. These people are out here shooting you. These people are out here running up in your homes. These people control the economic climate in your communities. You can't benefit from reparations when they have that much over you, and you're not going to be able to utilize the money the way you did, because it's going to come with conditions. That's what happened in the 60s. Blacks created those real institutions. The Panthers, the Liberation Army, all of that was created with government money. That's why they don't give out reparations. But if you get them, great. All I'm saying is build your own economic base, galvanize around just being black, and when the time comes, don't pull your punches. You know what that means. Bitch, hey buddy, you like this one too?